So I'm gonna do an install on my, I just bought a Gen 3 Raptor here, and Hypercoil came out with a new spring kit for them. I believe it raises it 1 inch in the back, 2.5 inches in the front, maybe 2 1/4. I'll have to look on that. But I've ran Hypercoil springs on my race cars for 20 years, or I did when I raced. And they got a hold of me and said that they were building these, and they're building them for Gen 1s, Gen 2s, and Gen 3s. So, on the Gen 3s, you got the coil over in the front, and you got the coil spring in the back. So, we're gonna put these on today. We're gonna do a little before and after. And I got it on the lift, so just gonna get you kind of an idea. That's Hypercoil's logo and everything. I'm gonna measure from the floor since it's on the lift and I don't really have but it'll still give you an idea of exactly. And we're just gonna measure. So if you end up measuring yours at home, it's gonna measure less than this because we're on probably 7 inches of, maybe about 9 inches of the lift there. So here, right in the center, we're at 49. Oops. 49 1/8. In the front, in the rear, we're at 50 3/4. And then if you just wanted to take that, we're about 8.5 inches on the lift. So you can do some quick math on that later, but I'm gonna get these installed and then we'll do a video afterwards. Zoom back and look at it the way it's sitting now. And we'll see how it sits afterwards. It should be more level. It's supposed to raise it a little in the back and like 2 1/4 in front, I believe. So we're putting the Hypercoil front 2 1/4 inch lift springs on this thing. I've already been driving this obviously out hunting, but just want to show you basically what you need to do to get this done. There's a 21 millimeter on the tie rod here. The upper ball joint here on the spindle and the upper control arm is an 18 millimeter. The bottom shock bolt is 27 on the bolt side, 30 on the nut side. So I'm just showing you which ones you need to take off. Let me come over here. And then there's 2 millimeter. I'll do those while I'm talking here. I just unhook this 10 millimeter here. One up here on the frame. This just lets you, that's all your lines loose. And then one of these will be your best friend if you have a swivel snap-on 18 millimeter swivel head ratchet wrench, because there's 3 18 millimeters up here on to do your top hat. So yeah, I did the first side over there. Seems like the right front is always, you got some clearance, really tight, so it always takes a little longer, but that side took me about 35 minutes. So hopefully this one, the other thing we want to do is make sure you take the live valve, the nut off the live valve here. And this is just get a crescent wrench. Here, I'll tell you exactly what it is. I mean, I wouldn't put a socket on it. I would just do the crescent wrench, but it's a 32 or a 33 or a 35 on these. So 35, but I just use a crescent wrench. Take that off, make sure you get that, and then just take a side cutter and snip this little zip tie right here, and then that'll let your wire loose so you can get the shock out of there. So I got the front spring, the Hypercoil springs, the 2.25 lift springs installed. I backed the truck out, hit the brakes a couple times, just rocked back and forth. Well, we did the measurements before. In the back now, we're 50 3/4. So in the front is 51. 51 on the money. So, took me about an hour, and I think it was an hour and 16 minutes to do them. Obviously, I've got the equipment to do them, but it wasn't a bad job. We're gonna drive it for a while. I do have the 1-inch lift springs for the rear. I'm not gonna put them on yet. I just wanted to see what it looked like, and I wanted to do it like this because you can just order the 2.25 lift front for the front if you don't want to do the rear, if you want to have it more level. But if you want to do 2 1/4 in the front and 1 inch in the rear, we've got that spring package, and we sell that here. So we'll see how it works. So yesterday we did the front 2 1/4 inch Hypercoil lift springs just by themselves, because you can just buy it. You can just do the front if you want, but today we're doing the rears. I'm gonna tell you what I did and how I did it. So get it raised up here and I'll show you. It's really simple. One side took me 10 minutes maybe. I got that side done already. So basically, you just take your bottom shock bolt loose here. I do that before you raise it up, because otherwise it's going to be, the rear end's going to be hanging on the shock bolt. I'm just pushing on the other side of the bolt. Shock is free. And then you're going to want to jack up the suspension here to let all the tension off the spring there. You can see it right there. Up as high as you can. The shock's going up here. If you had it hooked up when you're jacking it up, everything's going to be hanging on the shock bolt there. So that's as high as she'll go. And then this side was a little easier. I had to pull down just a little bit on the other side, but pretty much all it is. And then you got your spring rubbers on the end of each one. Easy. There's a little tab here on the spring there. I mean, you can't really do it wrong. You just kind of snap into place. Make sure your pigtail's up against there. Take that one out. They do have little tabs there on them, but I mean, the weight of the truck will push them back on. You could probably lube them up with a little bit of JB80 or WD-40, whatever you want, and it'll go back over. I'm just gonna hit them. Try to get them to go over the spring there. Again, that one's got a pigtail on it too, so just line that up with your pigtail there. It should kind of snap into place. And there's a little tab right here, and there's a hole in your bottom mount right there, so that goes in there. I think I'm gonna try to top in first. Doesn't get much easier than that. And I'm just gonna let it down just a little bit to hold it there. Letting it down. What I'm doing is just letting it down till that bolt hole lines up. Down the rest of the way. Get a whole lot easier than that. Look at that suspension.
Oh my goodness. I'll do it again. Oh my goodness. It's dancing.
So yesterday we had, I'll have to look up the measurements from yesterday, but I could drive it out and bring it back in again, but we're still at 51 on the front. And move the rear to 51 3/4. Yep. So moved it up about 3/4 of an inch in the rear, I think, and just about 2 inches in the front.
I think so.
Pretty easy. Probably had, I think I had about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half in the front, and the backs literally took me 15 minutes, jacking the truck up, putting it back down and everything, so pretty easy. Thanks again, Hypercoil. Justin Cockerham from Hypercoil got in touch with me, got hooked up with them. I think we're gonna start selling some of their springs. So, and like I said yesterday, I've ran them on my race cars. I ran them on all my race cars for 20 years, and some of the best springs out there.